Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to be joined again by my friend and business partner, Mr. Michael Vincent, Mr. Podcaster Extraordinaire.
That's it, baby.
Michael and I are working together on emissions reduction, fuel reduction, plastics waste reduction, and bringing monetary gains, at the same time. So we're out there helping companies make more money. I don't know of anybody that wants to make less money. Do you know of anybody?
I don't. And here's the thing. You don't have to even accept making less money. In fact, you can improve how much money, improve your bottom line, improve your EBITDA, and probably even your top line, all the way around by going sustainable. If you do it the right way, like with CyberFuels, or if you implement the correct recycling or plastics recycling or any other ESG, really, if you do it the right way and think about it from a life cycle assessment type of thing, as my friend John Overly at Clean Fuels Tennessee tells me. I don't know if you saw that podcast. It was a good one, dude. Did you see him?
I have not seen that yet. I've been swamped.
Yeah, he's an interesting character, man. They've been doing it for 22 years, man. They help companies become more sustainable in their fleets, dude. In fact, I need to reach out to him.
Absolutely. Well, there was an expression that I heard many years ago. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure does help pay the bills.
It sure does.
And I'd have to agree with that.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But the thing is, you don't have to lose efficiencies. You don't have to lose money or anything like that to be sustainable. You really don't. The correct options are out there. There are many who are perfectly willing to take your money and help you be more sustainable, knowing full well it's going to hurt your bottom line, and people will accept that just to be sustainable, and that's okay. But you don't have to be. You can reach out to me or Andy or somebody at CyberFuels if you got fleets or trucks or cars or anything that runs on fuel, right? We can help you out.
Anything that's a combustible engine, what you want to save some money and burn cleaner, we can help there.
That's right. You get like half a lawn more and fewer emissions, right? If you put in your lawnmower.
Yeah.
And the asterisk says, depending on lawn size.
Depending on lawn size. Exactly. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt.
This is not a proved statement. The opinions of the host are theirs alone.
Absolutely. But hey, I'm all about getting more fuel economy on my lawnmower too. I'm good with that too, Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll probably go E. My next one, I'll probably go E. I've got a Honda though, and it won't die. You know what I mean? Honda engines.
Yeah, absolutely. They last forever, don't they?
They do. I'm waiting until my kids are old enough. I'll turn it into a go-kart or something like we used to do when I was a kid.
Oh yeah. Those go-kart races on those engines, that's crazyville. Have you ever seen those going around a dirt track?
Dude, I had a buddy. We took a Husqvarna chainsaw and turned it into a. You want to talk about a fast go-kart? Holy mackerel! That thing smoked.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're going to be talking about today mind-boggling methane leaks and some other news as well. So, satellites satellites caught some amazing images of massive methane emissions. We're going to talk about that. Speaking of satellites, you and I were talking about some recent Meteor news. I'm going to get real recent in the last couple of weeks, and an article from Live Science. A meteor actually hit a home in New Jersey while nobody was home. And I'm going to quote this article. Judging by the damage, the meteorite hit the floor, bounced to the ceiling, and came to rest in the corner of a room. The metallic rock measures about 4 inches by 6 inches. That's a big rock.
Yeah, that's a really big rock. They weren't home, right? That's right. They weren't home. They came home. They said that they didn't know where the rock was, but it was, or where it came from or anything, but it was warm.
Yeah, and they're thinking that it might be a part of a fragment off of Halley's Comet.
Yeah, apparently it came down, hit the floor, bounced up. There were 2 holes in the roof.
Yeah.
So they think it came down, bounced up, and then came down to rest again. And apparently they took it over to natural history museum or science center at the local university or nearby university, whatever. And yeah, they're studying it and stuff like that. But here's the thing. The family has very, very smartly decided that it is in their possession for the time being. Because, dude, when I read that article, I was looking at some other ones, and along the stream of articles that were suggested to me after I read one article was another one about how scientists, if you find a meteorite, because people go and hunt these things, right?
Yeah.
Because they're worth a lot of money. Based on what I've seen, that thing could be worth a few $1,000,000.
Oh, wow. Hold on
Based
to that.
on, that's why I'm like, the family's pretty smart. They didn't just give it, say, well, I don't know, what am I going to use it for? Here, take it. No. That thing could be worth some cashola, a lot of cash. When's the last time you were sitting in your house and like $2 million landed on the floor next to you? Just poof.
Nope. It doesn't happen. You might
Doesn't happen.
also have to keep a hold of it for the insurance claim, right? Yeah, sure. A meteor came through and put a hole in your roof and another hole in your roof. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I'm glad they were not sitting there wherever it hit. I mean, that would be bad news.
It would, but I mean, talk about probably the safest house on the planet now, right? I mean, the odds of anything else bad happening to that house are like zero now, right?
Right.
I mean, law of averages, that's it. That house is like the safest house ever.
It is. That's like
But
one in a trillion kind of an odd.
It also makes me think, okay, what do we, okay. So I was also reading another one about, and we can get into this in another topic, but when at a later time deeper, because not prepared really to talk about it too deep, but I mean, space logistics is like a deal, man. I mean, it's a thing, right? And it has been for quite some time. It's kind of like all of a sudden there's this industry and that's been going on. We don't even realize it, right? I mean, there's private industry and stuff growing up all over the, they're making, they're not bespoke satellites anymore, right? They're companies that make satellite skins that then you can customize and put whatever you want inside it and stuff on it and then shoot it up there, right? And there's bots that go up and fix the satellites, et cetera. Even spoke to a guy where they're like space sweepers, right? They go up there and they clean the junk out of space. Okay. The leftover, the non-working satellites, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So as we go through this, right? Okay. You get road debris every once in a while you're driving your truck or whatever, a tire flies off or something like this. Now you got pieces of Halley Comet flying through the windshield as you're driving your space truck, bro. I mean, what kind of insurance? Travelers insurance, logistics insurance prepared to cover that type of thing? Or who's covering that insurance?
I am afraid there might be a clause in there that doesn't cover meteor damage. If knowing insurance the way I do, I wouldn't be surprised if there's what they call a carve out for that.
Yeah, probably is. You're probably right, man.
Well, and another thing captured by satellites was this massive methane leak in Turkmenistan oil fields, right? And so we were talking about that a little bit offline. So reading from this article, methane leaks alone from Turkmenistan's two main fossil fuel fields caused more global heating in 2022 than the entire carbon emissions of the United Kingdom, satellite data has revealed. Together, the two fields released emissions equivalent to 366 million tons of carbon dioxide, more than the UK's annual emissions, which are the 17th biggest in the world. So that's a lot of methane.
It is. And I didn't realize this because in that article, it goes through a lot of stuff. And I mean, this article is, this article is in Grist, but it's also a republish from The Guardian, and it's of a report that was done by Kairos, which is actually the company that has developed these satellites that detect this type of stuff, right? And it's still being developed. So it's a pretty cool and new technology to discover these leaks. So it's not like we've known about this stuff for years and years and years and years, but certainly for like 4 or 5 years, we've seen this stuff, because in that article, like, they can't see methane leaks and stuff like that over like the ocean, right? So they're still developing this technology. But it's absolutely crazy, dude, that this type of stuff is going on. And it's the fossil fuel fields that they they specifically said, like, it's not refineries, or maybe it is refineries, I guess, but they call them fossil fuel fields. So the petro states, right? Those countries that produce petroleum are more than half the threat of global warming is from the methane leaks.
Right. It was saying in this article, it holds many, many times more
80 times
than carbon dioxide. And when I was reading into it a little bit more, it sounds like they're just in these particular fields. They're just allowing the methane from the production to vent, just go up into the air, right? Instead of doing the flare burn off stuff. But it also made me think about, I've heard about and seen even, there are companies that are working with methane and capturing methane and using it as another fuel source. So couldn't they just capture some of this?
Well, they could, and that's what they're saying in the article too, is like the experts and stuff that are talking about that. The frustration level in it is that, one, the leaks are they can be capped at any time, dude. It's literally tighten a screw here, right? Throw some duct tape there. And it's really not a hard thing to fix, right? And at minimum, it's not the best thing, but it's better, is to just flare it, to burn it, right?
Right.
As it leaks off. They have those flare. You've seen them before. I mean, I remember driving through, Texas, et cetera, and through Louisiana, you see the oil refineries, you see the big flares going. That's what that is. That's just methane being burned, which isn't great because it's producing CO2, but that's 80 times less harmful than the methane. Right? The CO2. So it's really bad. But the other thing is crazy is if they capped it, which is easily, they could store it and sell it. It's a source of revenue.
Exactly. Yep. It's a source of revenue. And I've heard of even factories being powered by partly methane, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Partly on the grid, partly off the grid, absolutely. You can use that energy for sure.
You absolutely can. And there's whole, waste management, not like a waste management, but waste management company, waste management, right? The Phoenix Open, all that kind of thing, managing the landfills, et cetera. They're capping the landfills. I mean, landfills are being changed they're not just like these huge open eyesores that when you drive by, you want to puke, but you can tell they're there because there's a million seagulls, right? They're capping these things and turning them into energy production, right? They can be revenue producers, and it's methane coming off of that waste, right? Which other companies, and rightfully so, call that biomethane, right? And you've got biomethane as one of these big, like Titan Industries is looking at Port of Amsterdam, putting methane there, right? And because we move methane and stuff all around the world now.
Absolutely.
So it's like a duh type of moment. Why aren't we doing it? But the thing is this is, Andy, listen, seriously, if these numbers are correct and if they're right, like it's over half, right? Over half of it is this. So cap those things, start using the methane, and then use CyberFuels on the fleets, right? Do we really need to be paying carbon taxes and buying EVs that cost $500,000, or can we be like buying ourselves some time to get some real solutions that aren't going to put people out of business and break the bank and separate the haves from the have-nots even further than it already is in the world. You know what I'm saying?
I do know.
When I read that and started thinking of it, I got more and more pissed off, quite frankly. Like, are you kidding me? This is half of our problem is Turkmenistan and these people because it isn't two. Did you read the article? It's not just two. It's 344 events. This like happens constantly. Right.
Yep. It's like time-lapsed capture of all of this methane. They show an image on the article itself, and it's just this big, colorful cloud, but it's not good. And like you said, we can basically help companies make more money while going greener, right? There are solutions. And these companies are so used to paying more and more and more to do this, that, and the other thing, but they can actually make more money doing things like harnessing energy. Anytime you drill or do mining, methane is a thing, right? There's methane.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
always watching out for it. Why not capture that? You know? So yeah, there's definitely things that can be done to get us greener, cleaner, and not break the bank.
No, absolutely. Absolutely there are. And I mean, these things along with, not every alternative fuel is the right alternative fuel for the industry or whatever the specific application is, right? You look at the smart way is to start looking at, okay, how do different materials move and how and what corridors and by what methods, right? So I mean, like putting methane, and you've got who is it? Maersk looking at I think it's methanol, right? They're looking at putting methanol in
Yep.
And ammonia as well, and which is interesting. And looking at green corridors like between Asia and LA is one, the port of Los Angeles, Long Beach, right? Because you've already got these chemicals and these alternative fuels are moving for different reasons, right? And so you're starting to okay, so now this starts to make sense. We can power fuels with or ships with hydrogen, right? Because you can use methanol and ammonia as carriers of hydrogen, which then are cracked down to nitrogen and the hydrogen, right? Like in the case of methanol, right? Or ammonia. And now you've got two non-greenhouse gases that can fuel a ship that are being moved between these two ports and stored anyways.
Right.
So this makes perfect sense to start building these huge green or alternative fuel stations at specific ports and in ports and where they can have ancillary benefits as well, right? To the populace and the trucks and so on and so forth that are there, right? Because methanol and the ammonia can then be used in aviation, and they can be used for just general manufacturing energy, as well as in the case of Germany and I believe it's Norway are looking at, right? They're working together they're banking on their manufacturing infrastructure being powered on by hydrogen. And one of those isn't just taking water and cracking it, because that takes a lot of energy to do. There are more efficient and already existing ways of moving hydrogen, and that would be ammonia and methanol and methane. You can move it that way, right? In an already existing thing, right? So
right. Absolutely.
Crazy.
It's amazing to see all the things happening. And I think we're moving in the right direction, slowly but surely, right? Slow moving. But honestly, I think when you are able to present things that actually help companies save time and money, it'll move a lot quicker.
I mean, you need to, well, have you ever painted your house inside?
I have painted a few rooms in my life. Yep.
Okay. Right. So, I tell my wife's like, I want this room repainted, or I'd like you to repaint this room. Right. And then I get started, and like 2 hours later, she's like, when is this going to be done? And I'm like, I'm getting everything taped off and stuff like that. And then she comes back 20 minutes later and it's done. She's like, what? I said, all the work is the prep.
Right.
If you do the prep right, the rest of it is a piece of cake. And it's like if we think about these things and do these things right and the steps right, the solution's going to, it'll be like bang, and there it is. As long as we move, like you said, slow and steady, and make sure we make the right choices, fail fast, make the adjustments, move on, and think things through, right? Is there a way to get the infrastructure there easier and quicker and much more efficiently that actually benefits more than just this particular application, right? That's where we start to gain some efficiencies and really get some good solutions.
Right. Absolutely. That's where the traction starts happening.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep. No doubt. And well, there's a lot of cool things going on. I'm glad I was not at that house when the meteor came through the roof. That was I'm glad I was.
No, but I would have liked to have found it.
Yes, that's true. Would have loved to have found it. No doubt about it.
You know, I think I could put up with a hole in my roof for a couple $1 million Meteor. I think I could handle that.
That's a nice payoff. Yep.
It's a nice payoff. Yeah, I can handle it.
Oh man. Well, we're going to have more space news in future episodes. We're going to talk space logistics and different things as well. But
let's do it, man.
That'll do it for this episode. Thanks for listening or watching, everybody. Take care.
Baby.
We'll see you again soon.
Right on. Peace.